Hello, Internet. Welcome to my face. It has eyes and a mouth, you know, like a face. Today I'm going to be talking about that part of the writing process that everyone seems to genuinely hate. That's whether you're writing an essay for school or creative fiction of some kind, but I love it. And that's outlining. I think it deserves more love. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about some of the different types of outlines that exist and how you can make them exist. And I'm also going to go through a bit of my own outlining process and my own years of trial and error, because we're continuing the trend of self-deprecation, because that is entertainment. So strap in, get your cup of tea ready, because I've got some things to say. A smug's just normal. It's not as cool as my other two mugs. When I was taught outlining in school, it was just something I didn't do. I had to do it for school, but outside of that, I would never do it. And when we did have to do outlines that we turned in, I would not put much effort into it. When I would write stories as a child, I would come at it with a premise and nothing else. Seriously, I'd have the setup, a mermaid, a fairy, and a vampire, I don't know. They're best friends now. Cool. And so I'd write about them becoming best friends, but would have no idea where that setup was going. And that was a problem. But somewhere around my junior year of high school, my AP literature class, something just clicked. And I couldn't tell you what it was. I honestly have no idea. But one day, outlining was an absolute necessity. I would doodle outlines in the bottom margins of things we were working on. I would get panic attacks during AP tests if I didn't think that I had enough time to outline my essay. So why do I love outlining so much? Because you literally don't have to think about writing for the rest of the time if you have a thorough enough outline. If every detail is put exactly where you need to, all you need to do is fill in the words to make things flow. So here are a couple of different types of outlines that you can do. So for the first one, let's start at the very beginning. Very good place to start. When I was at a young school age level, outlining was taught through visual models. I think there was a sandwich in there. There are more, don't remember them, but there are. And for us, it was a house. So I just made this. I didn't just have this old house model outline from my elementary school days just lying around my house. That would be really weird. So I hated doing these outlines, and I'd only put a couple of words in, enough to get a good grade. It's really difficult to get past a basic level because of how confusing it is. So I've drawn a little path. It's falling over, and you can see that it's a spiral. It's not the most easy to use model, but I suppose when you're teaching this kind of thing to children, it might help to have some sort of visual representation. Oh, my tea is cold now. So the next type of outline is the summary outline. Summary outlines are great for when you have the bare bones idea from start to finish. It's a chapter by chapter, point by point summary of each section, and it can really help you divide into chapters, into topics for an essay. This is an outline for an old story, and as you can see, there's only a couple of lines of text for each chapter. That's not a lot to work with. And I also had an idea in my head of the correct number of chapters. So there was a lot of filler in those outlines. There's not enough of the big events because it wasn't a fully fledged story. But this type of outline would be really good for just taking an idea and you want to figure out how to split it up. This would work really well. So the next type of outline I call the stream of consciousness outline. It's essentially just a flowchart. Think of this more as your topic sentences. You've got the big events put in order and make a flowchart. It's just a very bare bones version of an outline from start to finish. So this really helped me because I knew where I wanted the characters to go and how they wanted to get there, but sometimes trying to find how it flowed together properly was a bit difficult. So having the flowchart was a really nice way of kind of putting things in an order that I felt comfortable with. So having an order to put things in is really important, or else you end up with something like this, with lines pointing everywhere because you put everything in the wrong order. This was the original script for this video. So the stream of consciousness outline I would not use as a final outline, especially not for a novel. The next type of outline is what I like to call the brain dump. And this is just when you have all of your details, you have everything you need, but you're not quite sure which little events go with the right big events to make a well-rounded flowchart story. This is when your thoughts look like this. Got all of your thoughts just kind of dumped in one place. You choose the big ones and you make that into like a flow chart. And then you assign little details to your big details. So I have done this. This is the finished outline for that jumble of thoughts. And this actually did not work well for me. I just put down the order of events. I didn't break it down into chapters or emphasize one thing over another, and I ended up without a character. If you want a really in-depth explanation of the thought dump method and how it can be turned into a proper outline, I seriously recommend watching Jenna Moreci's video on her own outlining process. Really comprehensive and also really entertaining. I'll link her video in the description so that you can see it if you like. This is great for essays. You can take all the information you've gathered from your own research and find your big points, and then put all these little points, quotes, details, questions you want to explore, put them under the hat. So if the stream of consciousness is your topic sentence, the brain dump can give you the body evidence. So now moving on to outlines that starts with a bit more detail. This is what happens when you've already done the stream of consciousness, you've already done the brain dump, and you kind of have everything in order. This is a lot more about formatting. So the first type I want to talk about is my favorite type of outline ever. The Purdue Owl Writing Lab calls the alphanumeric outline. I call it the list outline, and that one looks a bit more like this. So as you can see, the smaller details like quotes and questions I have, and even my own analyses, go under these umbrella points. In this outline, you can see a page number and a last name, and those are quotes from the research I found. In this other outline, you can see just chunks of text, and these are thoughts about the topic, and then I write the essay directly on the outline. Once you have your list outline done, you've got all of your quotes in the order you want to write them in, and you've got all of this analysis. For more of a creative writing side, you've got your big points that separate your chapters, and you've got your smaller points, maybe quotes that you like, maybe it's a little detail that needs to be thrown in there, maybe you have an epic twist ending, and then you put them in a nice, massive, detailed list. When you start with this detailed list outline, when you go to actually write your essay, you don't have to think. It's just all there. Makes the actual writing process way easier, way less stressful, and you don't feel like you want to die. So the last type of outline I want to talk about is the grid outline. So this was taken from this image from J.K. Rowling's outline for The Order of the Phoenix. And that looks something like this. So the grid outline is good for creating a more complete world, things that are going on outside of the field of vision of the main characters. For example, in my own manuscript, there's a war going on. So maybe there was just a massive battle going on at the same time as this relatively minor plot point, but she doesn't know about it, so all she sees are guards and generals just running back and forth. When I saw J.K. Rowling's image, I thought, I need to do that, because I was looking for new ways to do outlines. And I ended up making an outline like this. It just has the names of characters along the top, and rather than talk about the actual plot, I was trying to figure out how to portray this character's feelings. It wasn't really that effective as an outline, and I ended up coming up with this one that put plot and subplots rather than characters. And that helped me a lot, really give me a center from which to work. But as much as I really liked this outline when I was using it, I've decided that it's a bit too visual for me. It's sideways and I work better. So having this very grid-like vogue, for me it was a bit overwhelming, but I would still use this as a part of an outline, but not the entire outline. When it comes to my previous process for outlining creative projects, it usually starts with that same brain dump stream of consciousness thing. But then I would take my big things, I'd put them in my grid outline, and I'd figure out subplots from there. But I've decided I want my outlining process to evolve a little bit. I want my main outline to kind of be more in a list format with the grid as an offshoot, but I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. So I'll keep you updated on how that works when I start the outlining process of my new project. So it'll be a little while, but it'll also be an adventure. So that's my outline advice. I super love outlines. They're so easy. They make everything so easy. I really hope you liked my video. If you did, you can subscribe. That would be cool. I'd like that a little. I've linked all of my social medias in the description box below, and I've also linked Jenna Moreci's outline videos. Please give them a watch, they're amazing. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you liked it, and I post new videos on Thursdays. I'll see you next week, bye!